Today we're going to play along with some backing tracks using three notes, G, D, and C. But before we play, I want to talk a little bit about the mental process you'll go through when playing. And over time, you won't necessarily think this way, but in the beginning, it's very, very helpful to ensure a smooth and musical song. So the idea is, when you're playing a note, you want to prepare for the next note that's coming. Because if you wait until the moment the next note is going to be played to think about what it is, you're probably going to be too late and you're going to be behind. And that's going to cause the tempo to drag, the feeling to drag, everything to drag, and it's going to be a drag. So what I'm going to do is we're going to play one of these three notes, and I'm going to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But instead of saying the number 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the name of the next note we're going to play. So the idea is that you get used to thinking ahead. It's almost like being in two places at once. So music is a little bit tricky because you can't stop and really enjoy what you're doing, what you've just done, because if you do that, you're going to miss what's coming next. So it's a constant state of staying with what you're playing. You don't want to get stuck in the past, but you don't want to look too far in the future either, because what'll happen is you'll forget about what you're playing at the time. So the idea, like I said, when I say, instead of saying 3, I'm going to say the name of the note, and then we're going to prepare for it. And then when I say 1 again, we'll change to that note. So we'll have lots of opportunities to go through this stuff, lots of different chord progressions to use. And I've tried to pick a lot of the most common ones. And the strumming pattern that the guitar is going to play is going to be a very simple one that you probably won't hear too much. It's just going to be strum, 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 4 times for every chord. Now, typically a guitar player will do more complex strumming with downs and ups, all different combinations. But for now, to help you when you're on your own to count this stuff, it's just going to be 4 downs. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get to playing. So, like I said, G, D, and C are our only 3 notes that we're going to use. And the first couple examples, we're just going to use 2 notes at a time. So the first example is G, or string number 1, D, or string number 2, and then we're going to go backwards. D, string number 2, and then back to G on string number 1. Now it's very important for me to note that G is the main note of all of these chord progressions. It's the key we're in. We're in the key of G. And all that means for right now is that G is going to feel like home. It's when you finish the song, whether you know it or not, you're probably going to want to hear a G. And when you do hear that, it's going to feel like you've finished it, like it's a sense of finality, like you've come back home again. So all of these songs will finish on the note G. Very, very important to know. Okay, so the first one, G, D, D, G. So just to give you an example before we play along, what I'm going to do, I'll count 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, G, 4, 1, 2, G, 4. And when we repeat the chord progressions, we're going to repeat them 4 times. And the reason for that is most music happens in groups of 4, like 4 chord phrases, repeating those 4 chord phrases 4 times. There's all multiples, not always, but it's usually multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 32, 64, things like that. So just be prepared to repeat it when you get to the end, to start again and go through the whole thing again. So G, D, D, G. And as always, the count in is the most important part of the song. So hopefully I gave you a nice clear count in. Here we go. 1, 2, G, 4, G, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, G, 4, 1, 2, G, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, G, 4, 1, 2. Start again. G, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, G, 4, 1, 2. Last time. G, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, G, 4. There we go. Awesome. So when you guys go to play this on your own, it's also very difficult, especially in the beginning, to listen to what's happening. So when you have the backing track on, try your best. I mean, you're going to be counting and thinking and all this other stuff, but when you've done it a few times, try your best to listen to what's happening, because believe it or not, I mean, music is supposed to be listening, but a lot of times we forget what we're doing. We forget to listen because we're so focused on this, right? Our heads are down, we're just concentrating so hard. Try to open up your ears a little bit and hear what's happening. Okay, so the next one is going to be G, C, C, G. So again, just 2 notes, going from G to C, repeating the C, and going back to G again. So here comes my count in. Get ready on the G. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2 again. G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2 again. G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2. Last time. G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to combine those last 2 chord progressions. We were always going either G to D or G to C and then back to G. Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine them. We're going to go G, C, G, D. So it's the exact same motions you did a minute ago, but this time we're combining the first 2 chord progressions into one. So G, C, G, D. So get ready with your G. I'll count you in. 2, G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 2, D, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, D, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, D. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, D, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. And we end there. Now, I did add an extra G on the end because our chord progression did not finish with the note G. So in order for us to feel like the song had finished or the chord progression had finished, we had to end it on the note G. So the last one we had to add the extra note. That's the only one out of all these chord progressions we're going to have to do that with because all the other ones end with G. So the next one, the last one we're going to do is a new motion we haven't done yet in these play-alongs. We're going to go G, C, D, G. All right, so we're trying now to put the C and the D beside each other. We have not done that yet. So G, C, D, G. And again, if you need to pause it real quick and just run over it, that's fine, no problem at all. Take your time. Okay, here we go. G, C, D, G. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, D, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1. Start again. G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, D, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. Again. G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, D, 4. 1, 2, G, 4. 1, 2. Last time. G, 4. 1, 2, C, 4. 1, 2, D, 4, 1, 2, G, 4, and end. All right, so this is a lot of stuff to think about at once. You got to try to keep the beat. You got to remember where to move all your hands, get them both on the same string, all kinds of different stuff. But take your time, and once you get a grip on the mental process of playing this, really start to focus on a couple other things after you have the basic motions down. One thing to focus on is to make sure your notes last as long as possible until the other one starts. The other thing to think about, incredibly important, is the string muting that we talked about before. So when you go between G and D, when you go to play the D, stop the G, so you don't get all your notes ringing at once and have a big mess of bass notes, because these low frequencies, a lot of notes when played together don't sound very clear. So take your time. Don't feel like you have to do every one of these chord progressions all at once. Just maybe pick one until you get really good at it, or even till you can get through it. It's just a matter of survival, especially in the beginning. And don't move on until you feel comfortable or confident about the one you just played. So as always, take your time, have fun, and play every day. Thanks a lot.